And this is the Druid 7.2.5 update. Now, starting off with balance, the rotation has not changed. It's the same as it was before. It's about managing your astral power, getting it to about a cap of 80 before spending it. Now, a couple things I wanted to talk about, because there's not really much to say about the updates to this profile, is that the way that it's built is around getting a good pool of astral power so that when you have to move, you have the ability to. You can go ahead and just pop Star Surge and your other abilities. And other abilities like New Moon and things are still not part of the rotation. I don't feel that they fit with the rotation because of just how they can be used. For the most part, they're just used on cooldown, but there are situations where that's not the case, and I don't want it to clog up. So I think that the icon there, tracking it that way, especially moving into the next legendary, is going to be very useful. All that being said, the rotation still works very well. You can still get good damage out of it. My Moonkin is not so great, but I did test on the PTR, and I was able to do very high DPS. Now with Feral, a few things have changed since 7.2, namely how the bleeds are tracked and how other abilities work around it, specifically Ferocious Bite. I've added conditions for Ferocious Bite, so it will start to appear in the rotation a little bit more regularly than before. They did buff it a little bit, and I've added more conditions to bleeds and other things to take into account when and how you can buff them based on what buffs you have and other spell cooldowns. So you should see that the rotation sometimes will have you refresh a bleed based on which buffs you have active, even if it's a buff bleed, and otherwise it'll try to avoid that as much as possible and get the most damage out. Other than that, everything else is working out pretty well. Everything has been working, and I haven't come across any major bugs in quite a while. I may adjust some of the other combo point spenders like Savage Roar going forward, but that's still left up to the feedback that I get. But another thing I wanted to point out was that the way that the bleeds are sorted now is that based on their duration, much like the Warlock profile. So as things approach the center going upwards, you'll start knowing which ones you have to reapply. Now for Bear, they removed a couple abilities, so I had to remove those as well. The big thing here is that the rotation was tweaked slightly, but I did not actually touch Maul at all. It's the same conditions as it was before, being usable and at high rage, and that is because the rotation is, just like it was before, meant to focus on building rage as quick as possible so you can get the get your defensive abilities up when needed. Outside that, everything else is working the same way as it was before. I moved defensive abilities up towards the center, and all your racials and other abilities are still on the bottom. So just a few reorganizational things popped up, and there's going to be a few icons and things like that that appear in certain locations based on your talent choices, but other than that, it's actually a very simple profile, and I hope you guys like what you see with it. Now, finally for Resto, again, nothing really changed here. With Resto, I don't think they actually touched really anything. They've adjusted a few spells and buffs and things like that, but the profile, I went ahead and added in a couple extra abilities for the talent and a few extra conditions for them, but most of this is just spell cooldown tracking, and if you haven't seen the buffs since the updates since 7.2, there is now a solid bar for Efflorescence and Life Bloom with much easier text to read than there was before. But yeah, that's everything for the Druid profile, guys. I hope you like what you see, and as always, please give me your feedback so I can make updates going forward into the future, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.